everyone. This is the Air Conservation Commission. It's a hybrid meeting agenda. I'll read this little prelude. The meeting hearing of the Air Conservation Commission will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID number 978-772-8220. Note new Zoom number or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Heather Hampson, Conservation Agent, at conCom@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 143. I really missed that. Commissioners in attendance this evening, we have Jen Amaya as member. We have George Bacon as member, Jess Gugino, member clerk, Mark Phillips as vice chair, myself, John Schmallenberger as chair, and Heather Hampson as our conservation agent. Do we have a confirmation of agenda?
The only change I do have, and I apologize for this, the deadline for the request for proposals was this past week for the baseline report for Curly Circle, and we received one whole bid.
One bid.
Mm-hmm. We'll discuss that and vote on that.
And we'll discuss that when?
We can do that at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Remind me, I'll forget.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Passes unanimously. Approval of the meeting minutes for April 24th, 2025. Everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes. Any corrections, comments?
Looking at Mark.
Looks good? All right.
Good job, Jim. Yes.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 24th, 2025 as written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Passes unanimously. This is the time of our meeting for public input. If there's anyone out there who is not on the agenda who would like to speak or make a comment, now is the time. Caroline McCreary, would you please join us?
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Carolyn McCreary, as he said, 6 Wachusett Avenue East. And I'm here because at town meeting, the town approved spending, I think it was $20,000 for the pond treatment. Mm-hmm. And just before that, Lori Neary, and I have to give all the credit to Lori, says to me, you know, we're spending $20,000 for this recurring expense. And we, Pace, had pulled water chestnuts for a couple years at no cost to the town because there had been grants. But she said they couldn't do it this year because they needed insurance, which was going to cost them $3,000, and they didn't have the $3,000. So, you know, it occurred to me that if the Conservation Commission is going to be cleaning up, you know, ponds and to the tune of at least $20,000, I know it's been more other years, that they ought to be able to pay for the, you know, at least the insurance for Grove Pond for the chestnut, the water chestnut pool. what we're talking about here. You know, Pace led this water chestnut pool for a couple years, and it was really quite successful. Had a lot of volunteers from town in it. But now I guess the town lawyers have said that they need insurance in order to continue the program. So I'm asking the commission to take charge of this idea of yearly pulling of the water chestnuts. That you have the resources for the insurance at least, and you can get volunteers. I'm not sure exactly how Lori. I mean, I know that she had a grant, and the grant probably paid for canoe, kayak rentals. But there would be a way that the commission could, sponsor this sort of thing with, asking citizens to provide their own boat, whatever. So anyway, that's my request, that the commission take over this process of continuing to clean up the water chestnuts from Grove Pond.
Is there a reason that any of you know that Grove Pond is not included in the cleanup, in the weed treatment program? One of you, I'm assuming?
Wasn't it the arsenic, the contamination in the sediment that we didn't, when I came on, the line was that if we treated the pond, nobody can swim in it, should swim in it anyway. We didn't want to encourage people to swim in it because stirring up the sediment could be a health hazard. So.
But they treat Flanagan's, and I'll guarantee you there isn't nobody swimming in that thing.
Right, but Grove Pond has the history of contamination, serious contamination from Fort Devens as well as the old tannery.
Right.
So heavy metals, arsenic.
It has the warnings all around it from the
Yeah.
state saying that it's all fishing, but it has to be thrown back. It's not.
And no swimming.
No, oh yes, no.
So.
And it's so shallow, so the boating on it is difficult too in some locations.
Right. I guess I don't quite understand why, if you can't fish or swim, why you can't treat it.
The idea of if you can't fish in it, swim in it, why treat it? Is that maybe where we were at? I don't. It obviously was before me too.
Yeah, right. I know. You're right. Before me as well. Okay, so the policy right now is we're not going to treat it. We're not going to include it in to be the fourth pond that we clean up.
Fifth pond, no, fourth. Yeah, you're fourth. I'm like Long Pond, but yeah, there's nothing in Long Pond, so yeah, fourth pond.
But is this something we could have Water and Wetland look at in terms of managing that area of the water chestnuts? Because that's something that travels.
They did spot it in Flanagan Pond last year, remember, and they did treat
Yeah.
it and they never found it again.
Right.
This is something we can look at as adding as an additional item to the RFP for next year, to have it looked at for any sort of benefit to do that treatment of Grove Pond for the 2026 year.
Okay.
And do they have a?
The way that the article is passed is for the pond treatment. It doesn't specify which pond. So we also could as well, I'd have to talk to Robert and figure in accounting and figure that whole aspect out, how much money would be in there. But we could look at some point and see if there's enough money in there and what the commission would like to do with it, if we were allowed to do that for something for Grove Pond. Because the way that the article is written, it's just for pond treatment. It doesn't specify which ponds or what the treatment is.
Okay.
So we could explore that if that's something the commission would like.
But Water and Wetlands could take a look at it and see how much.
I'd have to ask them. We don't know if we have to put it out to bid again. I'd have to ask that question as
Right.
well. We could look into that as well too.
I have a question.
Yep.
So, you know, what Pace and the citizens have done is pull water chestnuts.
Right.
And, so that's something that can be treated, with the chemicals that
I
are.
don't know how they did it last year. I don't know if they pulled them because they were so small and they only found a few of them, or if
They
I
did.
think they just pulled them.
They
So
just
I don't
pulled
know
them.
Right.
with the amount that is on Grove Pond, what they would do. I don't know.
And I was under the impression that it basically is gone from Grove Pond. It's a maintenance.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
Issue
something we
now.
could ask them, if there's money in the budget to do, and amend the RFP or something to add that
Yeah.
in there.
I would think if we were just adding on that particular thing, it shouldn't go over 10,000, so we wouldn't have to put that out to bid.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe.
Well, if you already have
You already have one.
if you've already awarded, it would merely just be a change order. I would assume you can do
Yeah.
a change order to it as long as it doesn't exceed a certain amount for the bid. And is that the 10,000 you're talking about? That if something is over 10, it has
Oh.
to be separately bid?
Yeah, isn't there some
Yeah,
figure?
yeah, just the retention, whatever, not retention records, whatever. If it's over $10,000, it has to go out to bid, and you have to do the RFP, and you have to do try to get three.
But I mean,
of that.
even if it's already awarded?
I think if it's already awarded, I think depending on how much it comes back at, that's a question I have to ask the accounting office, and Robert on that aspect, 'cause I don't know if we were to go back out and add that, what that would do to the existing contract that we have. I think it would be fine, but I don't know municipal accounting as far as that goes.
Water wetlands were listening. And they could come back with less than 10,000, we'd be all good. So, possibly.
Possibly, I have no idea.
Which would be nice because obviously they're self-insured.
Mhm.
It's a non-issue. And we know that the insurance would possibly be at least 3,000 to have somebody, volunteers, residents, whatever, to do it again. So kind of a nice bogey, possibly.
Do you think Pace would agree to handing it over to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think de facto it is handed over, since they can't afford the,
They're not
you
doing
know, they can't afford the insurance and, don't have permission without that.
And the other option is for us or someone in town to come up with $3,000 to pay for the insurance.
Yeah, and see if, Pace wants to volunteer to do it again. I mean,
Yep.
it takes quite a bit of effort, and Lori has stepped down
Right.
as the chair, and so I can't speak for Pace. I haven't been to Pace meeting in a long time, so I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, how well equipped will we be to try to solicit volunteers?
Well, we've tried before.
And not done too well.
I mean, I do know Christine, she's I think the clerk for Pace. I mean, I'm sure I could reach out to her if we were trying to do volunteers and try to get involved with Pace and reach out to their group of volunteers again, and see how that would work out.
The other thing I had the thought of is if they wanted to coordinate the volunteer thing this year, could we, and this is a question for George, could we fund the insurance through our wetland fund? Because it's a wetland protection act-ish, taking care of wetlands, invasives.
I don't think so. I think technically it's for the administration of the act. It's not, I think this is outside of that.
So we have no way to get the $3,000
No.
from our funds.
Or could we ask town council on that?
Sure.
Yeah, I could ask Robert on that when he comes back on Monday.
Could
That
ask, but
question.
Or if there would be a blanket insurance for the town, that it could be part of, or.
And again, I think that would cover town employees. It wouldn't cover volunteers. I think that's the issue that Pace is running into. And that's the issue the town is having on our end.
I see.
Insurance is a fickle thing.
Well, I mean, from this discussion, what I hear is you first will consult with your
Yes.
your people to see.
Water and wetland.
Yeah, to see if something we can add into there. I'll also have to double check with the accounting office and the town manager's office to see if that's something we can do to amend it and then what the funds are available on there, what the quote comes back to. So we'll first go that route of it, and then if that ends up coming back as a no, then we'll see what we can do as far as possibly the commission. I don't know if we can on our fund side, but that's another question we can ask.
Yeah, I think to what George said, that
Yeah, I
kind of
don't.
makes sense, that it's the administration and the enforcement of the act.
Yeah.
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 So that makes,
Well, I mean,
You're paying someone to do the chestnut pull, not paying for insurance for volunteers to do it. It's like a.
yeah. Hence, that's why the other pond treatments are not funded with us, right? That's why
It would have to
Put
be
it
a
to a
separate
vote.
budget item.
it's a budget item, yeah.
well, I appreciate your willingness to go forward in whatever process needs to happen to make sure that, you know, what bothers me is if we let it go, that all of the work that has been put into it in the last couple of years will be for naught. So you know, I'm pleased that you will follow up and work on it. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up. Thank you. Any other public input? No? Okay. Then seeing none, we will move on to our first item this evening is a request for determination of applicability. Luis Perez, 135 Oak Ridge Drive. And Mr. Perez is with us via Zoom, I think.
Yeah, there he is.
Yes.
Good evening.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, how are you?
Okay, good. Good.
And it comes and goes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's what now?
This is coming and going.
Oh. Could you tell us a little bit about your project?
This is a property that I purchased just recently, and I'm doing some renovation to the property and cleaning up. I cleaned up the rear yard, and I have a sloped area at the rear of the property, going down into the bulkhead, not bulkhead, but the float ramp there.
Yep.
And so we did a lot of cleanup, and there was a lot of erosion and a lot of debris in that sloping area. And what I like to do is do like landscaping tiers going up uh, the drop. It's probably a 5 to 6 foot drop sloped bank. And what I'm planning to do or want to do is run 2x10 to 2x12, basically landscaping steps going up the hill to protect the slope, you know, the bank from eroding and be able to maintain it better.
And how would those 2x10s be secured?
It would be secured by stakes, just either a metal rod or a wooden stake that would be screwed into the planks.
And just driven into the ground? Just driven into the ground?
Yes, basically follow the existing slope. Yes,
Would this be the full width of the area going down to the pond?
pretty much. It's about 100 feet
100 feet.
wide,
And you'd have steps right in the middle of it going down
and
to
it
the.
dropped down about, yes, right.
Yeah, there was already existing stairs there, he would just fix those up.
Yep. And there is no existing retaining structures there now.
There's existing, like,
No, there used to be
go ahead.
there used to be an existing kind of aluminum picket fence, black black uh, picket picket fence across the back. Some of it was in the water, some of it was it was all tangled up, and most of it was rusted and just not maintained for many years. So I pulled all that out and cleaned up all the debris and car parts and all kinds of debris that we found. I guess they were using that as a dumping area.
Uh, Commissioners have thoughts?
Will you be bringing in any additional soil or just using the soil on site?
Soil on site, and I may need a little fresh topsoil.
And he told me he'd be bringing in, like, potting soil just for the plantings itself, but not a bunch of fill to make the slopes.
That's right. I'm not filling anything.
Okay.
And would you plant? What would you plant in that area?
I'm not looking to plant anything. I just want to see how it takes off. All the roots are still there from the original ground that was there. I'm sure it'll do much better now that it's all clean.
Hmm.
So I just like to see how it, comes back up and take it from there.
Do you think it might be a good idea to put something in there?
I think it might be a good idea to try to get some native plants in there. I did suggest to Mr. Perez that I do have books in the office for native plants for that area. If he does look for something he wants to plant there, that he can borrow those to go look at to get some native plants on the shoreline. I think we wait to see what comes in though. It
Sure.
may well be native, but we can look and see what comes in. I can work with him and try to identify it to see if it's something that needs to come out and plant something new, or what might already be there. There might already be, blueberries or hollies or who knows what's already there. It was just covered from years of neglect, so we'd have to look and wait. I think it might be best just to wait and see, because it might not be a need for
Right.
replanting anything. Awesome.
You have any thoughts, Jen? Jess?
Would just be concerned if we fill in with potting soil and it's just exposed. A heavy rain on that slope goes right into the pond. So is there some sort of something to stabilize, or at least to hold it in place?
Oh, it went away and it came back.
Wait, what was that?
Say it again, please.
Yeah, I mean, I would have no problem, if I need to fill in between after giving it some time to see what comes up. Maybe the next season, take a look at it and I don't know, put together a landscaping plan. But all the roots are still there, so
Mm-hmm.
what's there is there, and I'd just like to give it some time to grow and see what it looks like.
Yep.
So in that case, you wouldn't need this season to put down new potting soil or whatever in between the.
I would like to just dress it up so it has a chance of growing. Give it something to root into. Um, but my guess is you're really not going to know until the end of the season, and then the next season I think then you can I think see better.
We can ask that he put down, like, sprinkle some straw or something to keep the exposed soil from washing away. We can do that.
Or what about at the very base,
I mean, right now it's all
Too bad.
stable. The grasses are all coming back
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
starting to fill in.
Yeah.
So before it fills in too much, I would like to do this. Otherwise, it's going to be back to what it was before.
Yeah, we
Um,
can condition that some sort of erosion controls, either a row of wattles, straw wattles be put along the shoreline,
Mm-hmm.
or straw on top of the exposed soil to keep anything from washing away.
Well,
if
I
we
mean,
want it.
the bottom is filled with leaves, so that's from the existing trees and the existing dumping that was going on there for many years. So that's all still at the very bottom, and that's why I'm looking to tier these landscaping beds up that 5 foot slope, just so it all holds together and stop the eroding.
Mm-hmm. You have any thoughts, Mark?
I think I want to see it.
Oh, definitely want to see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Perez, you are not in the area currently?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Would you
I
be,
ha I haven't moved it. I've been renovating it and I have not moved in yet.
right. Would you be opposed to us being on your property and looking at the slope without
Sure.
you being there?
When would I like to be there?
You'd like to be there? Well,
So
Yeah.
we typically do our site visits on a Saturday morning, if that works for you. That's why,
Okay.
that's where the question came in of have you not there, because we typically do them on a Saturday morning.
All right.
and Saturday, well,
So when you say morning, approximately what time? I normally get there somewhere in the neighborhood of 8:30 or so.
oh,
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
'Cause this,
9 o'clock this
Yeah, that's
coming
fine.
Saturday. It's going to rain, from what I understand a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's the name of the game these days. So,
Actually, I just remembered. I have something I'm trying to put together for Saturday morning. Okay,
We can do it next
the
Saturday.
next Saturday might be,
yeah, I think that would be better for me. Yes.
what's the date on that, please? The 17th.
Yeah, the 17th.
So, could we make an arrangement to be at your place at 9 o'clock on May 17th?
Sure.
okay.
All right. Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Anything else, anyone, on this particular?
No, I think,
All right. Thank you, Mr. Perez. We'll see you
All right.
on the 17th.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All righty.
we need to, yeah,
Next item this evening is a discussion,
Yes.
air wetland bylaw regulations.
Yes. So when we were out on site for Pine Street, we had the thought of maybe the 50-foot buffer may not seem to be as much as we anticipated to be. So I said we will throw this discussion on the agenda. You guys can give me an ideas of maybe read through them, what you might want to see. Just so you can see on the screen there, this is an example of the town of Acton and their setback requirements and how they go in stages. So they have a 50-foot no disturb, and then a 50 to 75 with restrictions, and then 100. So they kind of stage it out on what's allowed within the 100-foot buffer.
Acton?
This is Acton. Yeah, it's the first one that I know of that I knew that had that. And just for reference, our existing regulations are 11 pages. These ones are 13. And then if you go to the mother of all regulations, the town of Arlington, are 79 pages. So, and I have a couple other examples I, in my office, because I looked at these before, that have more, items in there as far as, more detail as far as regulations go. But, to bring us back to ours, uh, so I assume we'd wanna go look at, possibly extending and looking at what we would do in our 100-foot buffer, maybe do something more staged, like something like Acton does, or another town. I know Acton's not the only one, that's just the first one I think of, because that's the first one I ever saw that did it. Looking around at some of those, as well as, like I said, the Arlington one has a whole section on climate resiliency. I mean, that might be something we could look at as well. And then in regards to the waiver that was granted, for that project as well, maybe it's something that we need to look at our waiver policy for something that we're looking at, more or less spelling it out when it comes to work within this 0 to 50, so it's not just how it's written now, because like I said, we had to go to council for that opinion, to maybe clarifying it a little bit. I don't know if you guys, if I'd chance to look at it, if you had any other thoughts that you had on there, that I could bring some ideas for the next meeting before we go looking for a public hearing.
Anyone have thoughts?
We could tighten up the waiver. Yeah, if we did a staged thing similar to Acton, we're talking about previously undisturbed areas, not for
Correct.
somebody who's got it already.
Yeah, well, the way we typically read our 50-foot no disturb, it's basically for new development. It's
Yeah.
not for someone who has an existing lawn. We're not gonna let them, so, and that maybe I don't know if that's clarified in there or not, that we would change that as well. I don't know if but that's usually how we've done it. But if it's not clarified in there, we would clarify that.
Okay. I was also thinking this might be a good place to put something in about policy for trees coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess I would like it clear if we want trees that fall naturally to stay where they are, but make it clear that people do have an option to come before us if it's like they really want to take it out of their pond shore. Yeah. So just to spell that out, that generally leave naturally fallen trees in place, but if a homeowner really does want to remove one, they can come before us.
Okay.
Can you take the part that's on the land and cut that and get it out?
I'm sorry?
If a tree falls into the pond and part of it's on the shore or on the property, can you just cut it at the water line and leave the part in the water? And
Well, wouldn't it like flow down the river?
Yeah.
Or like, because if
no, I don't think so. I mean, the big tree would just.
because the point, so when a tree falls and it lands in the water, right, it creates like a habitat underneath it for fish to lay
Right.
eggs and all that whole thing. So if it was to cut and it was to shift, I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know what would it be doing to leave it there? Why would you need to cut it?
Well, if it's a big tree and people were walking around
I mean, I
it.
can see that exposed, like roots sticking out, like that whole aspect of it, but like.
No, but if this is the pond and the tree was over here and people
Want
had
to
been
walk
walking
through?
through it,
Yeah.
and having stuff here, and now it's fallen and it's,
Oh, yeah, you
creating
should
this
cut like a
massive-
path so you can cut through? Yeah, you could do that, I'm sure.
That's, I kind of think what John's getting, like, if it becomes an encumbrance on the land,
Mm-hmm.
can that should be taken off?
I'm sure that'd have to be.
Leave the habitat.
Yeah, I would assume it's something to look at like case by case basis,
sure.
right? Because it could be a 5-foot area, it could be a 10-foot area, it could be right on the shore, it could be exposed roots, it could be.
Yep.
Just the stuff, yeah, I think that would be, you'd get the slippery slope if you just try to say one thing or another.
Also, if we have like a big tree that's gone out into the pond, that's 50 feet into the pond, and it's a pond that people boat on, then I would want, if it were me, I would want to be able to take something out. I want to have the option of coming before the nasty Conservation Commission and saying, can I please take this out?
Yeah, no,
For giving reasons. So just so people have options.
Yeah, and I think something like that to be, I think, with regards to habitat, be a matter of how long it's been there, you know, but we'd probably have to have some sort of time frame in there, figure out.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because if it's been there for over a month, I think at that point you'd start having stuff there. If it was there for a matter of like a week or so, then it might be a little bit, so I think we'd have to look into that aspect of it as well.
So you did just mention that Arlington's was 79 pages long. I'm thinking they probably have addressed this, but.
Yeah, they might, I know, that actually the town of Lunenburg has a tree part, I'm sorry.
So the question about, so if it goes in the pond,
Mm-hmm.
there are people that own water or own the land under the pond. So
Yes.
how is it any different if my neighbor's tree falls on my property, they clean it up?
Yep.
What if it falls in a pond, but somebody owns the land under the
Pond,
pond?
yeah. We have jurisdiction on the land under the pond.
We do?
Yes.
Okay, even though somebody else owns it?
Yes.
Okay.
So our jurisdiction
wanted to
in
be sure.
regards to ponds go, we don't, so people used to get this question of floating docks when it's a
Yeah.
Great Lake, Great Pond. We don't have jurisdiction on the water. We have jurisdiction on the land under the water.
Gotcha.
So if someone wanted to just float on the pond or put like a floating dock there, it's not anchored anywhere.
Okay.
We can't, and it's not a great pond, we have no jurisdiction on that. If they're then anchoring it and doing any sort of soil disturbance under the water, that's where we have jurisdiction.
In addition to the landowner.
Yeah.
Who might, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I was wondering, like, well, how, wait a minute.
Yeah, we have jurisdiction on the land, that's land underwater.
Gotcha.
Anything else, Jess?
Oh, I'm good.
I guess with regards to you saying tightening up the wording, I guess I'm a little bit more in favor of making it ambiguous. Well, you said just tightening up the wording on
On the waivers?
The waivers?
the waiver and stuff like that, just so that, you know, we have some ability to negotiate and figure out what's the best course of action, because if we get too prescriptive, we kind of can box ourselves in. That's why you end up finding so many things that have addendum after addendum after addendum, because you tried this, only to find out that doesn't work, then you tried this, oh, that doesn't work either.
The devil is in the details sometimes.
It definitely is, right?
But you're trying to see how we can avoid having every time to go to town
Well,
council?
my issue with the waivers is, right, the way I read it, is we weren't allowed to grant a waiver for anything in the 50-foot. The way town council, because we have a resource area, is jurisdictional, so then we could, because the way it's written, how I read it, is you're only allowed to grant, we can only grant waivers for a minor exempt activity. And what we were doing was not a minor exempt activity. So whether we leave it the way it is and add that in there for temporary work and just have that added in there, then it might not be as
Okay, so minor
muddy on that aspect
activities
of it.
Or
Or
temporary.
temporary.
Minor or temporary activities.
Whether we're adding that wording in there, make it easier, or if we're saying, you know, waivers won't be granted for anything, you know, 40 feet and on, and with 40 to 50, we'll do minor activities or temporary need, or something like that. Because I know the whole point of the regulations and the 50-foot no disturb is to not allow work in there,
Right.
whether it's with a waiver or not. But once you put that waiver in there, you give people the opportunity to ask for it. So I think to limit what they can ask for just a tiny bit more and get a little bit clearer keeps us from having that. It's just a thought,
Yeah.
Could we,
especially if we're going to add a staged buffer around there too. We'd have to clear up the waivers on that side as well, I think.
we say something like, you know, for minor activities or temporary activities or, something at, you know, an activity that would be at the discretion of the commission.
Well, that's, the waivers are,
Yeah.
that's the whole
It's-
point. So it's for
We
the
wouldn't have
discretion of the
to,
commission.
just something that gives it, so it doesn't have to be a town council thing.
Yeah, so that's why I just think having
Yeah.
it in there that it's a temporary in nature, which
Okay.
means like, so the sewer connection is temporary because they're just connecting it, and then, you know, grass will get to grow, it's not gonna be bare soil, it's not a structure, it's just a temporary connection, and that's it. Once like that 1 week worth of work or whatever long it takes, that's it.
Yeah.
So that's a temporary, but then if you're looking at, and it goes for, you know, you don't have that in there, you have another item in there, then someone could go in there and say, well, it could be that, I think just.
Yeah.
But again, I had to look and see if I can find another town that has something written in there with, it's different. I know when I first looked at these, when I first started, there's a number of towns that had almost the similar regulations as we did, because, I mean, it's what you do, and there's hundreds of towns. I think almost every single, I think like 90% of the conservation commissions have bylaws and or regulations. It's majority of them do now. So you're gonna get a lot of overlap on there, so I'm hoping maybe.
Everybody looks at everybody.
Everyone looks at everybody else,
Right.
just like I do. So I'm sure we can try to, maybe we can find something that.
Does ours specify that the request has to be put in writing?
Yes.
Yeah, it already does. Okay. So that doesn't need to be tightened.
Yeah, it's right on there. Bottom of that page, any request for waiver must be submitted to the commission in writing.
We were brilliant when we did that.
It's just at the time of filing, but that was one we didn't realize we had to be requesting, so that's, that's fine.
I do like the idea of maybe clearing up and, with the state, even with the waiver,
Yeah,
to say absolutely no disturbance will be allowed, waiver or not, like within 30. But maybe, like you said, 30 to
yeah,
50.
whether it's, 20
at the
to,
discretion.
40 to 50, 30.
Yeah.
It just,
What was the distance of the sewer?
it was less, I think they said like it's 5 feet. 3 feet.
I think it was less than that. I think it was like 3.
It's like, it might have been, only been like 3. It was
Oh, no,
so
no.
small.
But what was the distance of the line from the shore?
47
Oh,
feet.
yeah, so it'd be like
47 feet,
47.
yeah.
But, in some idiotic case where there might be a line that's within less than 30, you do have to make a,
But do we?
yeah.
Because why can't we just say, well, you should have done your due diligence. That's what that's all about. That's what the term
But say
means.
you had a leaking line or a problem.
Yeah, they're allowed to,
You wanna
it's an
be-
exempt
you wanna-
project.
You want them to get in there to fix that.
Mm-hmm. What's an exempt project? It's
Well,
an
that would be an emergency.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's an
Yeah.
exempt because it's an existing
Okay.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, the tie-in is not, but to do any sort of repairs to an existing is an exempt project. They would still come before us because of our regulations, and just so we could oversee it and condition it, but it's an exempt under the act.
Okay.
Good point.
But I know in some parts there's not an existing easement for that sewer line, so then it doesn't actually end up being exempt, it has to be an existing, but it would be an exempt project. The technicality, there's no easement there.
Our discretion would determine it to be exempt.
Anything else anybody's thinking that we might wanna look at? Or do you want me to send other
I
towns
remember,
for you to look at?
we had a whole list of stuff.
Maybe we should all
Long time
glance
ago.
at Arlington to see if they have some.
Is it Arlington?
It's long, but it's a lot of definitions.
It's a lot of definitions, yeah, there's a lot of definitions. There's, I think,
Yeah.
Belmont, I think has quite a bit, Lexington, oddly enough, Lunenburg has some good sections too as well. So there's just other towns for you to take a peek at that have some good, Lunenburg has a whole tree, bylaw part of it, section to it, a whole tree section to theirs.
Yeah, and that actually then would also be the place where is, do we have it elsewhere where we
We have a
say-
tree policy.
We do, okay.
Yeah.
We might overlap it there.
Yeah, we have a policy, which majority of people, when I tell them that we'd like to see it replanted, they're okay with that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I wanna replant. I said, oh, okay, good. So it really hasn't been a big deal. Rarely do I get someone that says no. But then I look at it, cause one I think I did, it was another one on Oak Ridge. They had so much stuff in their yard, I don't think they could fit another tree if they wanted to, or a shrub. There was so much. But it was nice to see that there was just so much planted there that, even taking stuff down, all just, the shrubs would have grown up in place of the trees, so it was majority of people don't seem to have a mind replanting, so that's good.
Right.
I can see what I have saved, I think maybe in a work folder
Okay.
from when we did this way back.
Yeah,
when.
way back when, yes. I have a file of different towns, of their regulations, of ones that I liked that I printed.
Yeah, I had a spreadsheet that we went in and we all
Yeah, but I don't have it in my
tagged it.
town email anymore.
Yeah, because when I first started, we went through and I just added the plan requirements and stuff like that, and we added the surety and bond, and we added the no site visits in snow cover, though we've done some, that's just what we do now. But those have all worked out, but I think adding something beefier to the 50-foot and 100-foot would be nice.
I like Arlington includes a definition of cumulative effect. So it's not like, oh, I'm just doing this little thing, but it's adding on to a whole bunch of little things.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, theirs is very impressive, and if you ever gone to an MACC conference, one of the lawyers that they use for the is actually on the commission, and he helped draft that.
Ah,
So
Is he the one that did the
town?
thing?
Arlington.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
an older man. He did the presentation at the conference this spring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I went to that one.
Yeah, he was
good.
he was a commissioner for Arlington, and he helped draft his regulations.
He wouldn't let anybody take notes.
So that's I think it's you're reading them as if they're written by a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then if you're looking at anything as far as if you want to look at ones, the towns of Sterling and Clinton got a MVP grant to add some climate resiliency to their regulations. So they would have added those to their regulations as well. And we can look at that because I think we looked at that for I looked at that when I did the first change, but I might look at that for this one too to add something in there for climate resiliency.
So it looks like they have something on yard sales.
Oh, I don't.
On what?
In their wetland plan?
Or Article 10. Wait a minute.
Oh, emergency certifications.
Are you in the town bylaws or the?
I'm not sure now. I'm
You're
somewhere.
in the town bylaws, which is, because Article 8 is the wetland one.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm like because Section 10 is emergencies, and then yeah I think it's
What is that?
They-
But that's not 79.
and I know the town has always had the stance of not charging any fees as well, but that's always something
With the
to
Arlington
look
wetland.
at too, if we ever wanted to add a fee
That's
section.
just 79.
Okay.
fees for,
Got it.
Review for notice of intent, a bylaw fee. So I don't have to do it. I think it's written in the bylaw that we can, so it'd be added to the regulations. We can keep that we don't do anything for RDAs, assuming those are mostly residents, but looking at it for notice of intent.
for every notice of intent. How much would that be?
They vary. So your category 1 is typically your single family house. So they vary anywhere. I think usually around 100 to I think 200 or 300, and then it goes up from there because then you get to I think you get to subdivisions and roadways, and
Right.
so they go up from there. But it's something we can look at. Not that we've ever worried or had an issue of money in the budget, but it is something that we can do, and it goes into that wetlands fund that goes into the act.
Oh. Okay.
And as far as the neighboring towns, they all have bylaw fees, filing fees.
Didn't know that.
Well,
Changed them when I was in Littleton because they were only $25, and I changed them and a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Especially when the 40B project went in. So, and again, I understand the whole aspect of not doing it for the RDAs because they're usually typical,
Right.
Residents doing a small part of the. I get that aspect of it. That's fine. It's more when you're looking at the larger scale, like developers, people looking to build single family houses, full-on subdivisions, stormwater systems, roadways, and that. Again, we don't have to. It's just if we're looking at these, that could be one thing that we look at as well.
Okay. Anything else?
So we'll continue this discussion. Right?
Yes, we'll continue the discussion. I can grab some samples for these ones of different towns and what they look like and bring them to the next meeting. And you can just pull which parts of it that we like or what you don't like, and then we can go from there. This will be a while. It's just we're just going to discuss it. We're not going to bring it to a hearing or anything for a while. We're just looking to see what we like and if we want to do any changes, and then we'll go from there.
I'll see what I have electronically.
Mhm.
In case you don't have it in your.
One of the
knows what I
things that I did find was we had it down as notes coming out of the document we put together. It was identified as a later tree removal in residential area not deemed hazardous by arborist requires replanting plan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's, and that's, so,
Something to think about.
yep. So trees, so if it's a non-hazardous tree, it requires a replanting plan.
Consideration of features important to wildlife inside no disturbance area. I don't even know what that means anymore.
Or probably like habitat,
Features important to
your pile of rocks, your piles of sticks, your piles of,
Yeah, but I don't know what it means by consideration. Is that?
if it's a no disturb area, then why, you're not touching it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm confused by what that means.
Well, you were all here, I wasn't, so I don't know what you were talking about.
Performance standard buffer zone requires quality and quantity of resource areas. Resource values. Slope, soil makeup, vegetation prior to disturbance shall not be significantly impaired. That was tagged as a later.
And in this time, we have plenty of time, if we look at anything that might need to go into the bylaw, we have plenty of time before fall town meeting to do those. So if we start doing this process now, we have all that time.
Yes. Nope. It's not time for,
It's not hairball medicine.
not hairball time. I thought I turned that off. But we learned from town meeting that when that, if we start here at 8:30, it will go off, even if it's silenced.
I don't think my mom shut up tonight. Okay.
Conservation Office updates?
Well, we have, like I said, we did item meeting agenda.
Oh,
the-
That's
the-
right. I
the
told you I would
proposal.
forget.
This was a tricky, so I knew this was gonna come in at around a couple $1,000, so it doesn't hit that 10,000 threshold. But I was directed by Robert to just do an RFP anyway. So the one I sent them to, this is the one we got, was Conservation Works. I sent it to, I think, Land Stewards and Oxbow Associates. I didn't, Land Stewards said it was too small of a project, they wouldn't do it in that sort of a turnaround. They can't do a project that quickly.
Yep.
Never heard back from Oxbow. I did get a proposal back from Conservation Works. They have done, and I got their name from the agent in Worcester, who had them do work for for a baseline for some of their property, which they have listed on here. So theirs came in at $2,000, which we have plenty of money in our budget to cover. That's why we're trying to do this now, because use up some of the money in the budget for fiscal year 2025. So, and it said it will be completed on or before August 15th, so they wouldn't make the deadline for the end of the fiscal year. But there'd be money in there for next year as well. So we could possibly see if I could get them to bill it in two different times. So we could try to use up some of the funds. But that we did get that one in. And this is to do the baseline for Curly Circle, so we can have that conservation restriction complete, and we can start the monitoring on that one.
Okay.
Okay. And the monitoring, would that be you do? Or?
I would start now until we figure out what's going to be going on with North County Land Trust.
Right.
But if we contract with them to have them do it, then they would be the ones that would do that for us. That was pretty straightforward, though. I was out there yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
So do you have
I
to?
don't know if you need to do, I'm sure you have to do a vote for it, but
We do or do not?
I think you should.
Yeah.
So how would that sound?
To allow Conservation Works to complete a baseline document report for the conservation restriction for the Curly Circle subdivision, for the amount of not to exceed $2,000.
Motion to the effect of what Heather just said?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank you.
Passes unanimous.
All right, and updates?
Updates.
All right, so we had, and thank you, John, for coming. We had our first planting day for the Pocket Forest on Westford Road at the Sandy Pond School last Saturday morning. There is another one this Saturday. If any of you missed out on all the fun of planting trees till you thought you couldn't plant trees anymore, then planted 6 more.
It looks amazing. I drove by it today.
Oh, I drove by it today too. It looks wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep, and we still have thousands of more trees and shrubs to go. So there's another one this Saturday from 1 to 4. And thank you for dropping off those logs.
Did you get to use them?
Yeah, we're going to leave them in there and they'll break down and create all the microbes and fun stuff in the soil.
Okay, cool.
But yes, and they were very impressed by them, so thank you.
Is that at the high school, the one on this coming?
No, we're going to be doing it at Sandy Pond again. I think if we decide we need to move over, we might send people
Yep.
to the high school while we're there. But I think we're starting at Sandy Pond, and then if we need to, we can move people over. It's only a 5-minute drive.
Yeah. So 1 to 4.
From 1 to 4 on Saturday, and it's also the townwide cleanup in the morning, so you can have a fun-filled day, helping the environment.
If it's pouring, it's still gonna go on?
For the planting day?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be pouring at 1 o'clock, but no, we'd still plant.
Yeah.
If it's drizzling, we'd be
grows.
planting.
Tomorrow I'm thinking of that we're getting the downpour.
1 o'clock
1 to
at
4.
Sandy Pond School?
Yep.
Oh.
Anytime you want to come between 1 and 4. Stay for plant 2 trees, plant 10, stay for an hour, stay for 3 hours, whatever you want to do. Whatever anybody can do. Be greatly appreciated. It's a long day.
It was a fun day though.
It is. Oh, I loved it.
Tiring. It was hot.
Yeah.
I was there till 12. A little after 12.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah.
30. I planted like 30 some odd things. I didn't think I made a dent. But
There was a lot of stuff there, I saw.
it looks great now. If you drive by, you wow, there's actually there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
On the Friday the 16th, which we have the invasive. If you want to come with me, the invasive plant training at National River Waters Association in the morning. But in the afternoon, myself and the Pocket Forest team will be working with the Page Hilltop 4th graders to be planting at the high school. So I get to do more planting.
What day is that?
It's a Friday. So the 4th graders will be planting during school.
At the high school.
At the high school, yeah, because the Page Hilltop is right there.
The invasive thing is what time?
It is 9 to 12.
Okay.
You're welcome. I will send you an email to remind you. On the Wednesday, the 21st, we have the Sandy Pond, 71 Sandy Pond site, the public forum for the outreach on that, what people would like to see.
They call it a charrette.
They do. That was the consultants. Yes.
And it's like, I had to look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember what time it's at though, so I apologize.
6 to 8.
Yeah. So there's that. If people,
Upstairs.
Yeah.
yep, if people want to come to that, that would be greatly appreciated. I did attend the ECAN conference last week, which I found out the ECAN is for Ecological Climate Action Network.
It's in the minutes.
Yeah.
'Cause I looked it up.
Oh, you looked it up. So that was really interesting. It was all on basically climate change and nature-based solutions, which I go to these conferences and it's nice, but I sit there and go, yeah, we know this. What about other departments?
Mm-hmm.
But it was helpful and nice to go to. At Clark, and it was they had, which I thought was actually kind of neat, and you guys can look this up and see what you think about this. I think it might be something that the sustainability committee can do. There was a climate therapist there, and they held a climate cafe, which is basically a therapy session for people to just get out all of their frustrations and all their feelings about the climate in a safe and open space.
We're all gonna die.
Which, I mean, but like the thing is, it's basically like, you can be like, I feel like, this is going on, or it's like frustrated. But I thought it was interesting and neat.
Yeah.
So if you wanna, I'm sure if you Googled it, you could find out about it.
Yeah.
But I thought, like, oh, that might be something neat we could try to do and maybe hold at the library or something sometime if people think that it would be beneficial or they find it helpful, just to like get it out and be around people who feel the same as you do.
Can you just come and watch?
I mean, you could.
Are you gonna have toilets to scream into? You think I go dark?
But I mean, it did seem really. At first, I'm like, okay, this is weird. But it was interesting. I think I could see
Well-
how it would be helpful in certain situations where it does sometimes just seem like, I sit here and I recycle everything and I use bar everything and glass everything, and then I look in the dumpster at my complex that's full of cardboard and trash. And I just go, okay, it's fine. So it was, I don't know, it was neat. But if you guys want to look it up,
But
Okay.
there is a lot of angst.
Climate Cafe.
Climate Cafe?
I mean, I can look up on the and see if I can find links to it, but I'm sure it will pop up.
I'm gonna become a climate cafe trainer.
You can. I don't know. They think they do some via Zoom. I don't know. It's something to look into. It looks really neat. What else do we have? Oh, that's all I've written down. No, that's it.
That's it for you?
Oh, I did. Oh, just I don't know if I told you last time. Did I tell you that I went up to Cambridge Street for trees? They're gonna be coming down. No. Okay. So a gentleman's gonna be taking some trees down on Cambridge Street between.
Oh, yeah, you did
Yeah,
say that.
yeah. So, and he is gonna replant, but he was spraying.
This was the insurance company?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Between him and Pauline Conley's house, he was trying to spray the knotweed between his house. I told him to stop doing that if he wants to replant. Because if you keep spraying it, you're just going to poison your soil. Nothing's going to grow there. He's like, oh, that's good to know. I'm like, so save some dirt from that. So anything else? Oh, Groton Harvard Road, 91 Groton Harvard Road. We did have an instance over there where when they installed their riprap for their overflow for their stormwater system was installed improperly, so it was coming down the entire slope and was just over right on the property line for the Pine Meadow Conservation Area. That was beginning of last week, middle of last week. They have cleaned it up. They are allowed to start working again. Danny from the town planner had gone out and observed how they've cleaned it up and fixed it and pulled everything back. So that area has been resolved. So if you heard of anybody going over there.
This is where they're putting in that new building?
Yeah. They had some issues up there with their with that slope and their stormwater system, but we've had that resolved since then. National Grid's chugging away at their site. They haven't installed their dewatering yet. I keep looking every time I drive by, but that's still going on. I think it's been too wet.
Yeah, when I went last Friday or whatever.
Yeah.
They ran into a water pipe. What the DPW
Huh.
figured out what they would, but yeah, looked like they had the site pretty clean though.
Oh, I drive by to keep a look at it, and because there's so much vegetation out there where they clear to, there's still so much more vegetation before you get to the wetland and the stream where they're working and it goes uphill anyway. So I feel like we're in good shape. They're not going to clean up that culvert until probably sometime in the middle of the summer. So they're going to wait on that, and that's going to be the real test to that whole area is when they clean out that culvert. What happens?
Right. Yep.
Thank goodness that they didn't clean it out like before tomorrow.
Yeah, before this week. Yeah. Yeah.
2 inches.
Yeah.
That's what it said by Saturday. So.
Another 2 inches.
We got over 4 last weekend through Monday, so. Good for the water table.
Not good for my herbs.
My basement.
Not good for my herbs. My lavender is drowning.
Any other updates from
That's
commissioners?
it. That's good for me.
Go ahead.
Well, we were talking about the invasives or whatever the knotweed, and I was actually up in Brookline and happened to be looking on their town website in New Hampshire, that is, and they've almost completely eliminated all knotweed from all of their town property.
Oh my God, how'd they do that?
How'd they do it?
They've been going through, they've been doing the burying, so they let it grow, get it to flowering, cut it, and then they bury it and cover it with like heavy plastic.
Yeah, tarps. Yeah.
And then tarp it down and keep it contained for like a year or two.
Yeah.
But it's, takes all the energy to get the flowering going. Then they take the energy out of the roots, keep it covered, and yeah, they've actually,
Wow.
they were pretty
Impressive.
proud of themselves. I was like
But
checking it.
What
that's
town
really
is it?
proud.
Brookline, New Hampshire, like just north of you,
Yeah,
technically.
yeah, it goes, yeah, Hollis, Brookline, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But not the stuff that has the looks like
Does it grow
what do you
through
call it?
asphalt?
Bamboo.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it'll go right through asphalt.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah,
That little patch that's on Central Street, right across from the pumping station, you know where it was last year?
Mm-hmm.
It's back.
Yeah, I've mentioned it to Dan before about, can you try to do something about it? Because it's just a small little area right
Yeah,
over there.
it's small now.
get it now, definitely.
Okay, Jeff, you had anything else?
Yeah, no, good.
Okay, so I have two things. One, I'll switch order. Had a call from Annie Reed today about accessing, going to the Long Pond Dam.
Hmm.
Now that Stratton Hill's been fenced off,
Mm-hmm.
um, the normal path or the town-owned easement, which is just to the right of that retention
Mm-hmm.
basin, is all overgrown and has some trees down. I think between there and the chain that goes across.
Okay.
And she was wondering if that could get cleaned up or opened because, as she understands, and I understand this too, I think the private property owners people have been going down their driveway to get over to the chain in the town
Mm-hmm.
easement. I think they prefer people didn't go down their driveway.
Okay.
So-
I will look at it and see where it is and what we can do about that.
Yeah, so see if the town can still maintain some access.
Mm-hmm. I know, I know it's not soon. I know it's in the next like month or two that Dan's work, the kids that he has come working for them.
Yeah,
But I'll take a look at it and I'll mention it to them and see if it's something the DPW can clear.
yeah. And I know eventually when they start working on that basin, that area will be under construction. That'll be a different matter. But
Yeah. Well, and again,
but
that whole, I mean, we can't clear it because we can't ask them to, we can't ask the town or something to clear private property or clear it for.
yeah, no, it's the easement thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they expanded the basin a little bit into that town.
Right. I'll check the plans and I'll check that.
Yeah, because that was done improperly. But at the same time, Annie noted that there was poison ivy growing in from the street area, which that's been there since way before Stratton Hill. But she also noted there was a little patch of knotweed that was starting in that area.
Is that Moulton's property?
No, I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to go look at it.
Yeah.
But my knee's been out. Second, so you'll talk to DPW.
Yeah, I'll look
Okay.
at it on the plans, maybe go out on site, and then I'll talk to DPW and see if it's something they can clear up for us.
Okay.
Or if I can find a Boy Scout troop that needs some
Bless you.
outside work.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, so I sometimes get phone calls, which I say, you call Heather. So also had a call then from Susan Tordello Williams about wanting, after town meeting on all the stuff on the ponds, wanting to do a flyer for people who live on the ponds about not putting in, all the fertilizers and stuff. So she came up with a sort of draft that she said it's easy to do, but
Oh, I have something on how to be a responsible
Haven't we already
Right.
sent
pond
that around?
owner.
Haven't we already sent that around? Like
Got
last
the
year?
pamphlet,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, there was a
thing.
pamphlet that went around. That was
right.
before my time. I did create a thing for how to be a responsible pond owner, but I don't know if I ever sent it
yeah.
out. But I do have something I can send out.
Yeah, and that reminds me then that, I'm blanking on
Because
names. Faith Salter, it was Faith Salter's daughter.
Right.
Did that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And they were sent out in what, tax things or whatever, sent out for.
Yeah, like the issue is right now without an assistant in the assessor's office trying to get the list or labels done is going to take a back seat until they get somebody there, cause I'd had to pull certain areas of town to get just the labels made.
Right.
As soon as we have that, we can do that, and then I also, we have the, I mean, I can put something on Facebook too, and see if that helps.
And the newsletter.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the newsletter, when that comes out, the next newsletter comes out, we'll put something in there, and try to remember to do that, in the spring and fall.
And would we have objection to something that, if Susan wanted to do one with editing? She talked about maybe also, could be a high school project to put them around in mailboxes.
I don't believe you can do
And I
that.
had that thought too.
Yeah, as soon as you do that, then she's doing something on behalf of the commission. She can do it as a private citizen, but no, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't wanna tie the commission, the town,
Right.
to that.
Do a federal offense.
Okay.
Well, I mean, well,
Yeah,
no,
well, that.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, cause it's being, so, if someone, you can go on, yeah, cause you can't go on someone else's property. If their mailbox is on their house, you can. It's not trespassing, because a mailman has to.
No, but you're not allowed to put anything that's not postage paid.
Yeah.
Someone's mailbox,
In the
yeah, I
box.
wouldn't think you were. Yeah, so.
Tape it to the front of their mailbox, but not in the mailbox.
So I'll tell Susan to talk to you further if she has interest.
No, I mean, it is a good idea.
It's a great idea, and I said, I know I have a responsible pond owner, like, flyer. I said I can figure out what I need for addresses for the ponds, like, it's the odd side of, Willow,
Mhm.
Oak Ridge and this and that, so I can get that, you know what I mean, and try to get a list for when the assessor or whatever comes in, so we
Sure.
can just mail those right out. Get something on Facebook and something in the newsletter.
Yeah.
I know,
Go from there.
I know why we're focused on the ponds, but there's so many other wetland areas. in
So many
town.
other
It would
ones.
be really great if we could do stuff with other people too.
Oh yeah, there's wetlands everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, so maybe we just.
like a town-wide mailing.
Townwide mailing, I have to
Mhm.
wait until, I can see if that's something with the treasurer's office when the tax bills go out.
How about the water bill?
I have to check the DPW too. So, I mean, if I get something together that's,
That's why quarterly.
yeah, it's something, you know what I mean, just something like that, that if we could do a mailing in there, when they would need it and if that's possible, and we could always do that. So then it goes out to everybody.
And that would you'd be looking at a flyer that we would put out.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Jess?
No.
George?
Changing my phone number.
Yeah. Rachel, is there anything that you would like to add or ask questions?
I was just thinking, with your.
You can join us.
Got a cushion, Jess.
I just came to come tonight. I didn't expect to say anything. Rachel Kozera, 30 Groton Harvard Road. Thank you so much. And I was just wondering, just with that gentleman who was on the Zoom. Sorry, on the Zoom. I'm gonna sound like an old person.
Mr. Perez?
Yes, Mr. Perez. Just in line with what I don't know, I didn't hear the beginning part, but I was thinking it might be nice to put together different plants that you can put in your yard.
Oh, we have that.
Oh, you do?
That's on the website, yep.
But I didn't know if it was possible to like include it in a mailing or something like that. I don't know, like in line with what you were talking about and distributing that.
I do have it on the website, a bunch of, I have the pond owner thing, I have all that stuff on the website. There is a plant list too.
I could make
I don't know,
it
I was just
two-sided. Don't use this stuff.
Don't use this stuff.
Plant these
this
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we could.
And then as far as
I make it, if I do that, when the phone calls start coming in, Jen told me to do this.
That's fine.
I don't know.
Why you tell me what to do with my property?
I'm sorry.
Lightning.
Yeah.
No, maybe not.
No, it was
Lightning
lightning.
in a headlight.
It was like the third one.
Okay.
What else?
Go ahead.
You.
We be easily distracted here.
I'm just here. I just,
Just like coming.
yeah, I mean, I just am observing and listening, and so I'm concerned about the environment, and
Well, we appreciate that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
well, I appreciate that you all are here. So
Want to take over pace?
They have people.
I'm washing my
Okay.
hair. I'm sorry. But no, I think I'm just a little I just say that I'm just a little bit nervous because there's so much development happening. This weekend I saw a news story where in Littleton, I think they're taking over the IBM
Yeah, they are. Yep.
thing, but
The
it
whole
just
complex,
seems like
yep.
it's everywhere I look, everything's cleared. And so I just wonder with our ponds and with just the critters that are gonna not have homes anymore, and just the imbalance that might happen because of that.
When you get discouraged on things like that, because I understand like that it hurts, disheartening. Look at different conservation organizations and how much land they preserved over the course of a year. It ends up being thousands of acres. So like, it may be like, oh, well, like the IBM, that's actually wonderful because that's such a
No,
giant
thank
vacant site to
goodness
see that
yeah.
redeveloped and brought to, instead of clearing something in the town forest or something by the railroad in Littleton.
And that's what I was gonna say. I mean, the nice thing about that is, here's disturbed land.
Mhm.
They're gonna turn into condominiums and house people as
Oh no,
going.
it's a great thing. But I was just like,
And taking over
whoa.
more forests,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And-
Another Stratton
And
Hill.
when we look at stuff like that, as far as development goes, let's say the redevelopment, they'll go through and do plantings, right? There's a whole planting plan that goes along with that. So you have to look at it. We live in Massachusetts, there's a housing crisis in this state. It's a housing crisis across the country. We have to do something. I mean, my idea is not very popular, but no one wants to hear it. But things that we have to do. We just got to look at it as what we can do to save it. Golf courses. Oh, I wanted to get rid of some of the golf courses and put houses there.
All of the golf courses.
Well, we don't. Just one in every.
There's so much
I think there
water.
might be some
So much
objections
water.
to that.
I'm too busy drinking at the back nine, so I'm not really worried about their objections.
There is a golf course
That's
in
the
every
turn,
town.
not the back nine, it's just the turn.
They drink all the time.
No comment.
Housing.
I'm sure they do drink in moderation on golf courses.
We're actually doing that in Buffalo, where I had my wedding reception.
Stowe did it. The town bought one of the 7 golf courses that they own, and their one half is being converted to open space, and the other half is being used as development. And there's still 6 more golf courses in Stowe, so I think the town will be
We're
fine.
having a very distracted meeting today.
I
Squirrel?
Yeah, exactly.
It's more lightning, I know.
All right.
I also didn't know, and this might sound like really out. I don't think it's out there, but has the town considered planting fruit trees moving forward as far as like new plantings? Because
I mean, that's something I think we can look at when we do like the pocket forests. There are when lovely Casey Lee, who's the landscape architect for BSC for that project, he'll go through and he plants ones in there. Like I think I planted a couple cranberry in the one on Sandy Pond. So we're planting stuff in there for birds, not necessarily for people. Yeah.
Crab apples.
Cranberries. They're little bushes. Cranberries. Well, they're bare.
I mean, for like
But,
people
but
though.
for people, so that's something I know in like more urban areas they're looking at that for street trees that they're planting more of that. When you look in I know this bit know more than I do. When you're looking at like apple orchards and stuff, because of the pests that live in them,
Exactly.
the maintenance that they take along to actually have them preserve to actually fruit. There's a lot of pruning and stuff that goes along in there. So we could plant the fruit trees, and if we didn't spray them, and you'd get an apple that looks, has a worm in it and a little deformed. I may eat it because I'm like, well, I just won't eat that one spot, but the majority, and then it drops on the ground, and there's bees, and people complain. So it's a great idea, and I just wonder like what it would happen.
Like if I know I forgot what park it was. I took a foraging class once, and they accidentally planted ginkgo trees, but they were the kind of ginkgo trees that like fruit and have the seeds, and I guess they're really important to different people. But so a whole entire community was able to say, hey, these ginkgo trees have their seeds on the ground, come and get them, and then everybody came and just got
So,
things.
wonderful idea for you to bring up, I think, to the community garden.
Community garden people. Okay. All right. I just have these thoughts sometimes.
So, I mean,
You tell me to
but
come
something
here.
like that as far as like a fruit, like, type of thing, people can come and like do whatever. And that might be something the community garden might be interested in, and their properties over, on Barnum Road. To speak with them and see if that's something that they might be interested in looking at, possibly doing, or you could help them with.
Okay, super.
Uh-oh.
And then,
Oh, that was it. Okay. Never mind.
and I don't know if this is, probably not, but like, I don't know. Never mind. I won't
If
ask the
you think
question.
of something, you can just give me a call or shoot me an email.
Oh, yeah, no. Native American, artifacts in town. I think Lori in her letter at some point in time talked about them. And so I just didn't know who to talk about with that because they wouldn't be.
There's a tribe, I believe, in Devon's.
Yeah. Right. You know where the playground is?
No. Oh,
You
Right,
go
right,
in
right by the gate.
oh, okay.
I think there's a tribal office or a tribe associated with Devon, so I would reach out to them.
I just meant for like development and in conservation land and stuff. Is that like,
But
do they have?
They would be interested in that too because it'd be the same tribe in Ayer as it would be for Devon's. They wouldn't just, you know what I mean? So if anything was found or anything like that, or if they're looking at doing anything in this town as far as cross-reference, as far as
I was just.
artifacts being found.
Is there someone that goes in as that like especially undeveloped land like Stratton Hill? I know that there's like it's like 10,000 years old, and it's like an artifact in a Massachusetts town that you wouldn't necessarily see if you weren't looking for it. So I just didn't know if that was something.
I'm sure they could tell you more about doing that type of work and what those
I think-
entails.
Are you asking like when a developer's working?
Yeah,
What's
is
the
there
process for
specialists
them?
that come in and make sure that the land is?
Think so, unless there's reason to think something, but I think if they find things, they're supposed to report
They're
it.
supposed to, yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
just
no.
curious.
I know the utilities, they work very closely with them, and in fact, we have, at least at National Grid, we have employee resource groups that are tied in with those in the company that are indigenous. And so we have a real good link with them, and as Jeff said, there's certain areas that are identified that it's possible that things might be here.
Mhm.
And so when development is happening, they have to go through and do an archaeological study beforehand and do some test digging. And we found a number of things in all kinds of different areas. And yep, you pause, they come, and the Native Americans come and they will take out what they want to take out and then clear the site to be
Okay.
handled. So.
Sorry, I don't know if that was in your department, but you answered it really well, so thank you so much.
Well,
Okay.
That's what I know about it.
Okay, super.
That's about it, though.
All right, well, that's all I have. So thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, as always.
I hope that was helpful. I didn't expect to talk.
Did you guys plant any blueberries too? In the pocket forest?
I don't know. I think I saw blueberries, but I can't remember.
Blueberries.
Do you know that peach trees are not indigenous to the U.S.?
No.
Yeah, I just learned that recently.
Well, horses aren't either. Certain breeds of horses aren't either.
Yeah.
Honeybees.
Or honeybees.
Honeybees. Yeah, honeybees are an introduced species.
Or earthworms. It's like cows.
They get the ones in Concord that like were descendants of the first ones that came over from with the Pilgrims.
And we're an invasive species, our species. Most of the food we eat.
Dark again, Jess. You're going dark. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Passes unanimously.